darlings, Mimi G here with another tutorial as part of the Mimi G for Michael Levine collaboration. Now today's going to be sort of a sew along. We're going to be using a commercial pattern. We're going to be using McCall's 6556. Now this was a very popular pattern last year. It was on Fashion Star. It made its rounds in the sewing world. But I'm going to be pulling it out again this summer because it's really versatile. I can make it as a top, I can wear it as a dress, I can wear it with leggings or jeans, and during the summer I can make it out of a chiffon fabric and wear it as a cover-up. Now today the reason we're using it is because I want to do a modified version of this and do a color-blocked dress. Now the color blocked option that I'm going to do is very simple. We're just going to measure down a couple of inches, cut this one piece into two pieces, do that for the front and the back, and then we're going to cut each piece out of a different color. So I'm using two colors. I'm using a taupe and a teal color. You can use whatever two colors you want. You could use a stripe and a solid, or two solids, or two different kinds of stripes. It really just depends on what you like and how creative you're feeling. Okay guys, so you're going to get your paper pattern out. You're going to see four pieces. You're going to see 1A, 1, 2A, and 2. You're going to need to cut both of those. Now you're going to notice that 2 and 2A go together. You're just going to need to match them up at these dots that you see down here to create one entire piece. Once you've done that, the only difference that, to this pattern to color block it is that you're going to measure down 9 inches from the two lines that you see here. There are two lines for lengthening and shortening. We're not going to lengthen or shorten, but we're going to use that line to measure down 9 inches. You're going to make a straight line across. You're going to cut it so that you end up with two pieces like I have here. Now once you have both pieces for 1 and 2, you're going to set one extension aside. And we're going to be cutting these with one layer of fabric. Usually we cut with our fabric folded in half, so I guess we're cutting two pieces at a time. But in this instance, we're going to be cutting just one piece at a time. So we're going to lay our fabric out using only one layer of fabric. And with the right side of the fabric, the side people are going to see facing up towards you, you're going to lay your pattern piece on top of it and you're going to cut around it, making sure that you make any clips where you see notches. You want to make sure that you make a clip or a marking where you see these big circles or small circles. Those are all things that you need to know so that when we're putting our pieces together, we can identify the sizes that we're working with, the sides that we're working with. So you want to make sure to do that. So go ahead and lay your pattern piece. You're going to put your weights and you're simply going to cut around. Now go ahead and lay the other pattern piece that you're going to use for that same color and cut that one out. Then switch colors to your second color and you're going to lay your extension pieces and you're going to cut one out at a time the same way that you cut out the top pieces. You should end up with two pieces for the top and two pieces for the bottom. Now starting with the two pieces for the back, I want you to go ahead and lay them on your table. We're going to go ahead and pin them before we take them to our sewing machine. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay your taupe piece over the blue with the right sides facing each other. And you're going to get some pins and you're going to pin the bottom edge so that when we go to the sewing machine, all we have to do is sew one straight line across. And we're going to do the same thing for the other two pieces. So get some pins. Starting at one end, you're just going to pin those together. And then use a couple more pins all the way down to help you keep both layers together. Now that it's pinned, we're going to set this one aside and you're going to pin the other one the same way. Now that we have pinned together both top and bottom to the front and back pieces, we're going to take them to the sewing machine and start putting this together. Okay, since we have already pinned it, go ahead and grab the front and put it underneath your presser foot. And we're going to be working with 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and you're going to back stitch at the beginning and at the end. Remove your pins as you get to them. Now that we've sewn the bottom portion to the top portion of our front piece, go ahead and take the back piece and do the same exact thing. Now that both our front pattern piece and our back pattern piece has the bottom attached, now all we need to do is give this a press. So you want to go ahead and press this with the seam down. So you want to make sure that when you press it, that the seam allowance is facing down towards the taupe color and not the teal. Once you have given that a good press, we're going to create the tucks. I have gone ahead and pressed my seams, so I'm going to slip my piece under my machine, and I'm going to be taking my dots and then meeting that dot to the next dot and creating a little pleat, and then meeting this dot to this dot and creating a little pleat. So I'm going to zoom in for you guys. Hopefully you can see it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first dot. As you can see, the taupe is facing away from, it's away from my body. And so I'm going to be pleating up. So I'm going to take one dot and I'm going to match it up to the other dot. And I'm literally just going to stitch. Then I'm going to take the next dot and I'm going to pleat it up till I get to the other dot. I'm going to hold it and stitch. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the third set of dots. Now we've created our tucks. Okay, now we're going to attach the front piece to the back piece at the sides and shoulders. So I'm going to go ahead and let me move this so you guys can see. I'm going to take my back piece and I'm going to lay it on top of my right piece. And I'm going to match my shoulders and I'm going to pin. And then I'm going to have you go ahead and pin down the side. So we're working on the shorter side. One is obviously much longer than the other side, so we're just going to pin. Make sure that your notches are matching. And what's most important is you want to make sure that your color seam lines are matching. You don't want them to be like this, okay? You don't want that. You want them to be right next to each other. Now that we've pinned one side and we've pinned the shoulder, we're going to go ahead and sew this. Using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now we're going to sew down the other side that we pinned. Now we just need to finish off the other shoulder and the other side seam. So we're going to go ahead and pin the other shoulder, but we have some notches that we need to be aware of. So we're going to pin first at the neck. Now we're going to pin until we get to that marking that we made for the large circle that was on our pattern piece. I marked mine with this little notch here. So I'm going to pin there, so that reminds me that I need to stop sewing when I get to this. We're going to leave this portion here open. So we're going to go ahead and pin a couple more times along this top. And now I'm going to sew from the neck at the shoulder down until I get to this circle marking, and we're going to leave this portion open. Backstitch when you get to that dot marking. Now we've sewn across the top of the other shoulder, and we left this part here open. And now what we're going to do is we're going to sew all the way down the other side. So go ahead and pin it out. Match your side seam notches. And then pin towards the bottom. And now starting from the bottom, we're going to sew all the way up using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, now we have sewn all the way down both sides, and we have sewn both shoulders. We left an opening. And now, before we get on to some finishing, we're going to sew the bottom hem of our dress. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a double fold. I'm going to turn under my fabric, and then I'm going to turn it over again. So I'm turning over about 1/4 inch and then turning over again about 1/2 inch. I'm going to align my needle so that it's close to the edge of the fold, and I'm going to sew all the way around. Go ahead and sew around the entire hem of your dress. Now that I'm done sewing the entire hem of my top, I have changed the color of my thread to a blue, and we're going to go ahead and finish off our neck. So what we're going to do is we're going to, starting at the center back, we're going to turn over 5/8 of an inch, and we're going to sew all the way around our neckline, and go slow and curve as you need to. Now that we've sewn our neckline, and if you have a serger, remember that you should be finishing your seams as you're going along. The only reason I don't serge while I do tutorials is because it's really loud and it takes up a lot more time. But if you have a serger, you should always finish off your edges so that the inside of your work looks as nice as the outside of your work. So now the opening that we left, where our arm is going to go, we're going to go ahead and turn under that seam allowance, and we're just going to sew all the way around. So starting on one side, cut off any loose threads. And now the only thing left to do is sew our other armhole. And you're just going to do the same thing. You're going to turn over 5/8 of an inch, and you're going to sew close to the edge. Cut off any loose threads, take it to your ironing table and give it a good press. There you have it, you guys. And to see pictures of me wearing it, go to the blog. The link is in the description box below. And I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.